All right, here's a number of questions that you need to solve. This first one is a quadratic, but there's no x term. Usually it's ax squared plus bx plus c. If there's no x term, then you can solve this by moving the 40 to the other side. So I have 4x squared equals negative 40. And then divide both sides by 4. So you get x squared is equal to negative 10. Now when you look at that, there's no number that you can square that'll get a negative number. And so in this one, I would probably say there's no solution. You could follow through and say, well, take the square root of that side, take the square root of this side, and the square root cancel, so you're left with x. And then you have the plus or minus square root of negative 10. But if you try taking the square root of negative 10 on your calculator, it doesn't work. And this function, if you were to graph it, would look something, I don't know exactly where it would be, but something like that. And when you solve a quadratic equation, you're solving for where the graph crosses the x-axis. And this one doesn't cross, that's why you'd say no solution. Okay, the second one is a linear equation. There's just a t, not a t squared. A lot of people make a mistake here that they subtract those numbers first. But you can't, because this is a multiply. And according to order of operations, you have to multiply before you add or subtract. So I'm going to take the minus 3 and multiply it through. So that'll be a minus 6t and a minus 24 is equal to minus 17. Then I'll leave my t there, and I'm going to move the 7 to the other side and the 24. Notice I did the opposite operations there. So I'll have a minus 7 and a positive 24. Okay, so this on the left side, I'll have a minus 6t. And then minus 17 minus 7 is negative 24. And negative 24 plus 24, that's 0. So minus 6t is equal to 0. Divide both sides by a negative 6. And you get t being equal to 0. Now this one, that seems a little funny, so I'm going to check it, see if it works. So 7 minus 3 times 2, and the answer we said is 0, okay, plus 8 equals a negative 17. So 7 take away 3, 2 times 0 is 0, 0 plus 8 is 8. Okay, is that negative 17? So 3 times 8 is 24. So 7 take away 8, 24. Yeah, that comes out to negative 17. So the answer is 0. This one, it's a quadratic, and there is one of those x terms or a y term. So I want to make it all equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 16y there, subtract 16y here. On the left side, I'll write it so it's in order, descending order. So y squared minus 16y plus 64 equals 0. And then I'll try and factor it. So two numbers that multiply to 64, and the same numbers need to add to negative 16. Oh, I guess negative 8 and negative 8. Yep. So this would be y minus 8, y minus 8. And then it's a 0 property. So either the first thing in brackets is equal to 0, or the second thing in brackets is equal to 0. Solving each of those, add 8 on both sides. So you get y is equal to 8, and y is equal to 8. So your answer is 8. Just as an added little bonus there, in the next unit, we'll graph these two. And if you have two answers that come out the same, what happens at that point is the graph comes down and just touches and goes back. And you could graph this right there, and you'll see that it looks something like that. Okay, next question. Okay, this is a regular quadratic, and so I want to try and factor this. Okay, So two numbers that multiply to a negative 32, and they have to add to a positive 4. 16 and negative 2. Yeah, it doesn't work. What else? 4 and 8. One has to be negative. Negative 4 and 8, that's a positive 4. Oh, that's what I want right there. Those two numbers right there. So I'll split this x squared into an x and an x. One will be a negative 4, one will be a positive 8. Zero property, I'm multiplying and I get 0, so either x minus 4 is 0 or x plus 8 is 0. Again, solving, I'll add 4 on both sides there to get 4. And on this one, I'll subtract 8 on both sides to get a negative 8. If you were to graph that, a positive 4 and negative 8, that's where that parabola would cross the axis. It'll look something like that. It probably goes way further down, but you get the general idea. Okay, and the last one, again, it's a quadratic, so it's of that right form, but I have to have, in this case, it'd have to be a b squared, b, and a number. This time I have two numbers, so if it's a quadratic, I want to make it equal to 0, so let's add 18 to this side, and I'll add 18 to this side. So I have 25b squared plus 40b, negative 6 plus 18, I think, is positive 12. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, so now I need to try and factor that. This one, I have a number in front of the b squared. So you either do complete the square or guess and check. I'm going to just try guessing and check and see what happens. So 25 will split into 5b and 5b. And then 12 probably splits into 3 and 4. And everything's positive. So if I multiply that, I get 25b squared plus 15b plus 20b. Yeah, those don't add up to 40. Whoops. I meant to cross it out. That one didn't work. Let's try it again. 5b plus and 5b plus. So to get to 12, maybe 6 and 2. So plus 6 and plus 2. So it's 25b squared plus 10b plus 30b plus 12. Yeah, that's the one right there. So there's the factorization that I need. So I would write it as 5b plus 6 times 5b plus 2 equals 0. So either 5b plus 6 equals 0 or 5b plus 2 equals 0. I'll subtract 6 on both sides. Then I'll divide both sides by 5. So one answer will be negative 6 over 5. The other answer, subtract 2 on both sides. Divide by 5 on both sides. So there's my two answers for that question. Now you could have, if you are a AC method person, I'll just show you that one too. 25b squared plus 40b plus 12 equals 0. So I need to get two numbers that multiply to whatever 25 times 12 is. What's that? 250, 300, I think. So 300. So two numbers that multiply to 300, and the same numbers have to add to 40. How about 30 and 10? There it is right there. 30 times 10 is 300. 30 plus 10 is 40. So then I take that middle term and I break it up into those two numbers, including the b with them. So 40b turns into a positive 30b plus another 10b plus 12. Okay, so that one gets split up. And then I'll group factor. So out of the first, I think I can take a 5 and a b, leaving me with 5b plus 6. The next one, I think I can take out a 2, a plus 2, leaving me with 5b plus 6. And then this term and this term each have a 5b plus 6. So let's pull that out front. And then if I divide both terms by that, because I factored it out, I'll be left with 5b plus 2. And then I have the same thing as I had right over there. And I'd finish it off the same way. All right, those are 5 good questions. Hopefully that helps.